Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday the 10th of October. So, obviously, no non-farm payrolls today, maybe next week. For now though, today we've got very little actually. We've got the Canadian, actually we've got the Canadian data there at 1:30. We've got a bit of data in terms of the employment figures, and then at 3 o'clock we've got the US consumer sentiment and inflation expectations. So might get a little bit from that. I don't expect a great deal, but whenever I don't expect something, something happens, eh? Right, let's have a look at the markets, and we'll start off with the euro dollar. I haven't been through these massively, I'll pre-warn you. Just quickly glimpsed at some of them. Right, euro continuing to sell at the moment. We're seeing it's heading towards. There's plenty of pivots on here actually where it's heading towards. Maybe short term we've got a bit of action to be had, but there might be support back in. I mean, we pushed so far through on this euro this year. This is the yearly pivots running across here. Just before you sort of wonder what pivots are he talking about? It's the 2025 pivots, and we went right the way through the R1, R2, and into the R3. That was the R3 up there. We're coming back towards the R2 at the moment. So that itself, the upside, that might provide a bit of support. We've also got this level here, my pivotal area, which is an area which previously has seen a lot of support and resistance. And it seems to have that sort of magic effect on the markets quite often, although, well, a little bit here. We saw it back here a little bit, but it was from way back anyway. So there is potential support sitting there from that perspective. We got the S1, 2, 3, 4 on the 4-hourly or weekly pivots. 4-hourly, this is a 4-hourly chart. Does look bearish, does look good on the downside, of course, still though. And when we look at it on the dailies, daily pivots, missed the daily pivot at the moment, but we are look. It is lovely bear flag and good pattern, maybe down towards the daily S1 and potentially beyond if it kicks down that way. I would wait for the obviously post 8 o'clock before running into anything like this. We do see things turn around quite quickly at this time of day. Anyway, there you go. There's the euro, the pound, but it does look like there's some promise there. Pound similar, it really broke down yesterday, and now this has broke through my long-term pivotal area here. It's also broken the sort of neckline, but this sort of head and shouldery pattern that's sitting there as well. Looking soft at the moment, looking really soft at the moment again. Let's get the pivots in here. So it's already hit the S3 on the weeklies. Maybe that'll see with the strength of the movement further downside, and you can see a similar movement to the euro dollar there, sort of bear flag, which is part of it's already triggered effectively. It's a bit wait see if it continues, but it's not gone that far today so far. So with these, the sort of panic to get in, but just wait your turn. US dollar yen, patience. Okay, that's what I was trying to refer to. Right, US dollar yen, well, slowing up here. It's hardly strengthening. The other markets are weakening potentially a lot more, but this has had its weakening effect, I suppose. It is still a safety currency for a lot of people. It's strengthening a little bit on some of the comments made by coming out of Japan this morning. S1 we're sitting into at the moment. I wouldn't really be looking to short it yet. Maybe next week it could be coming into play, but from where it is it just waiting to fire up yet again? Aussie dollar, okay, Aussie dollar. The Aussie dollar folding over a little bit here. You had quite a key reversal bar there yesterday, and again we're sort of seeing a similar weakness here, and not quite so, I say similar, not quite so weak, but this has gone for a more technical I like this better because it's come back in and crashed into a daily pivot and hung around that and failed from that area. This too could be running down towards its S1. A continuation to that sort of move. US dollar CAD. So we're seeing, basically, you can see there, we're seeing a lot of markets that are looking weak as we're looking at them pre 8 o'clock. Whether they continue quickly or continue at all is another matter, of course. US dollar CAD, well, at the moment, high lows, higher highs on the dailies there, just still looking soft, double topping into its weekly R2 at the moment. Here, and you see it on the hourlies as well, there'll be some divergence between these two highs. And well, potential on the breakdown is a breakdown of the lows between the two highs effectively. That's the possible signal short side on this, but at the moment, well, it could just carry on through the morning, pushing up there. Maybe not as fast as some of the others. It had held back pretty much most of this week. Yesterday it did soften there in the afternoon, but as we saw the dollar rallying. New Zealand dollar, it's very similar to the Aussie, hadn't come back so textbooky into the pivot here, unfortunately, but I say it's similar to the Aussie dollar. It's more similar to the pound and the euro effectively. Bigger movements selling off so far. US dollar Swissy, same sort of picture inverted here. Actually, this could be pulling back to the pivot. It would be interesting to see if it hits the pivot and reverses. Okay, there's plenty to look at there this morning to potentially short on those the European markets, but be careful because look how quick things change. This was looking particularly red a moment ago when I was talking initially. It was all the way down here towards the bottom of its bar and looking like it was going to roll over. Look at how quick things change, so do tread carefully. It might react nicely, and this could be an alternative on the likes of the euro into its daily pivot here, and it hasn't spot its pattern up until that point, so we can watch for the pivot hit perhaps if it goes that far, or maybe a further breakdown. Either way, I'm looking more short on that. Right, gold. Where are you, gold? There's gold. Gold pointed, lovely double top pointed out to me this morning. Yesterday. Actually, is that fractionally short? No, it's pretty textbook. You're right. It's good enough anyway. That's corrected itself and continued through. Now this has done what a double top should do, and if you want to trade a double top properly, this has already done it, pretty much done it, I think. Is you wait for the break of the low between the two highs, you trade it the same way as you would a divergence, and this is how double tops were originally meant to be traded. And you get the break of the low there, and you get the distance between the highs and the lows, and that's the target. It's maybe fractionally short, I don't know. Visually it's like it. Oh, okay, I'll measure it. So from there up to the high was 567, $56.70, whichever way you want to measure it. Oh, it's a bit, yeah. Oh, 57.11. There you go, that'll do. That's pretty good. Good matching. You don't go for the absolutes on anything like that, but that's worked its way out. It could, of course, break the lows here and give us a lower high, and then we could be really, that's basically the bear flag that's in play then, and it's triggering the sort of bottom here. Trigger of the bottom here could see the whole of this length pushed onto the high from here and continue through. So there you go. But personally, do I really want to be selling something that's been doing this? Well, some would say yes, they do. I'd rather see it on this side, give me a lower high, and look on this time frame, give me a lower high than the lower time frames. Of course, short term you might catch something. Certainly for the double toppers playing that yesterday, if they've traded it accordingly, they might have made a good amount. A nice wedge. Okay, so oil. if things are settled, it makes more sense to see more in Middle East there. It seems to make sense to see further downside here, and well, this is all nice and classic, and it's running quite nicely at the moment, and it could be running back down towards these lows back here. For the daily, well, daily S1 at this rate looks quite nice. Maybe even the S2 bit further, or just down to those lows there. We may get buyers coming in. However, it's still quite early at the moment. Personally, I prefer to trade in the afternoons. We'll see what happens. It can all reverse in a short while, so be careful. Right, equity markets, S&Ps fractionally up on their close last night, but everywhere I read on some of these things, they're saying that things are crashing down, and you look at the dailies and you think, well, where's this crashing down nonsense come from? Are they looking at the same charts as me, or yeah, we've had a bit of a correction, a light correction there. Goodness, it's not even a proper correction. It's the market breathing. Anyway, are we going to see a break and a continuation to some new highs today? After all that comment, all those comments I saw in the scribe there, perhaps we will. We'll see. But yeah, we could get a lower high. It needs to break the lows here to do it properly. You could argue that on the shorter time frames there's one there, but it's not for me the time to be selling this market yet. But that's me. I'm not looking to I'm not looking for the highs. I'm not looking for the lows to buy or the highs to sell. It's done some nice movements yesterday there. It came pretty close to a double top there, and it's given us a lower high effectively on that point there. But let's wait. Patience. We get a lot of noise in on these markets. FTSE. The FTSE. It does look softish of any of the markets here potentially, but even so, I was looking at this yesterday thinking it's given us some soft tones. Maybe a break of these absolute lows might be a bit more logical, but even so, the big trend's still there, and there's nothing really showing too much of a short. The DAX has been a bit of a different one over time, but having sat there in this drifting lowering session, lower high sort of point, that was okay for shorts and whatever else. At the moment though, look, it's not far away from making more new highs, and again it's really a long only at the moment for me. It might drift up this morning, we'll see. I just don't really trust it either way after it's sat like this for all this time. It's just at some point I guess it's going to go again. Right, that's pretty much it for me this morning. Do trade carefully. I can never stop people selling highs and buying lows and whatever else. It's an inevitable human thing to do to try and get the best price, because after all, aren't you told to sell high and buy low? Yeah, okay. It doesn't work that often, guys, and when it does, you'll be the one that will be waving the joyful flag around everywhere to say, I've made this money, and then you'll give it all back on the next higher low and higher high and low and so on. Anyway, tread carefully, that's all I say. Bye for now. Have a great weekend. Catch you Monday at 7:45.